Or
Rosalind sounds right. Rosalie sounds wrong.
Rosalie?
It sounds wrongly.
those are the kids that are gonna be the real villains when the zombie apocalypse comes.
It's the person's birthday and they want some like pecan and walnut and apricot dark chocolate bullshit, then that's what they can have.
This was an M. Night Shyamalan plot twist I did not expect.
Yeah.
You're through to 1-800-DRAMA,
The show where you share your biggest dilemmas.
and we help you navigate them.
I'm Shaaba.
And I'm Jamie,
Come join us as we help people figure out if they are the drama.
because sometimes you just need an outside perspective.
And we can all expand our own mindsets along the way.
Wait, am I the drama?
Red flag, green flag, Shaaba.
Hit me.
When people insist on splitting the bill.
Oh, interesting. I don't like how our red flag, green flags have become like, I've turned them into am I the dramas. I'm like, it depends on context. Let's unpack this. So my gut reaction, green flag.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I like it.
Yeah, I would more red flag insisting that the other person pays, either because of like
Gender.
them being the man.
Yeah, that's the only reason that I could think of. Unless it's between friends and I'm like, well, I paid last time, so you pay this time.
Yeah.
Then like sometimes I
We
do
have a lot
insist
of
on
those
it.
going. With, I lose track. I think with all of our friends, we're like, we'll get this one, you
and
get
then
next.
one and then one. Yeah. I want to do a takeout with friends again soon.
We can do that.
But yeah, green flag for the most part.
Yeah.
Is there any time where insisting to split would be seen as a bad thing?
If somebody hadn't been there.
Fair. Having my sister over recently, I also think there's some times where it's like nice to allow other people to do it. I think the like people pleaser in me and the, I don't know, what is it? The person who like has to always be benefiting or helping out in some way. That is people pleasing, isn't it?
Yes.
It's like, oh no, let me always contribute.
Yeah,
But it's
and
been
I
really
think-
nice to, in some of those moments recently, been like, okay, you can buy the ice creams.
Yeah, we're the same. And even like having your sister buy an ice cream, I was like, no, this cannot be happening. We must share this or we must buy it.
Yeah.
But it's actually like she wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And I think she was happier doing it than she'd be if we insisted on splitting.
Agreed. And it was a nice way for her to be able to show gratitude back in a way that was controlled and that we could appreciate. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, because we adopted her for 2 months.
So there are times in which also not insisting can be nice. But for the purposes of red flag, green flag, green flag.
Green flag.
You insist on splitting that bill, babe.
Yeah.
I'm hungry now. How you doing, Jamie?
I'm doing good. I'm very sleepy today, but I'm ready to see some arsehole. I gave up saying that part way through because I realised how it was going to sound.
It's wonderful. I'm ready to see some arseholes with you.
Oh, I love it. Wonderful couple activity.
Meanwhile, Peaches, if you're watching this on YouTube, maybe you want to click that little subscribe button, or if you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify or any other podcast platform, you can give this episode a little rating.
Yeah, it really helps us out, and you can rate the podcast as a whole as well. Thank you.
Without further ado, are you ready to go fishing for
Drama.
assholes? Let's go! Ooh, drama.
Am I the drama, Shaaba?
Yes.
For telling my biological son to stop calling me mum.
Mom! Oh, wait.
Oh.
That's interesting.
That is an interesting title.
For telling my biological son to stop calling me mum. I
Yeah.
am intrigued.
Okie dokie.
All right. OP, a 40-year-old woman, says, when I was a teenager, I had a baby and I gave him up for adoption.
Right.
Okay. I did this through an agency, and one of the stipulations of the contract required the adoptive parents to provide my contact information to him after he was an adult, so that if he ever wanted to contact me, he could.
Okay.
How do we feel about this?
Instant context for the title.
Yes.
And I'm intrigued to know the full story.
Isn't it actually in law that in some contexts, at the age of 18, you do need to give your details out?
I think with IVF in some countries, and if the adoption is open, but I think you can have
do
closed adoption.
Interesting. We don't know enough about that process. But yes, this doesn't sound untoward so far. Sure enough, 18 years later, I get a letter in the mail and he wants to meet.
Okay.
Wow. That's really sweet. I know I don't know where this post is going, but the fact that it happened 18 years later, I wonder how long boy has been wanting to reach out.
Yeah,
I always
maybe.
wonder.
Interesting. Does that mean that OP lived in the same house
For 18 years. Yeah. I'm really sad this isn't on drama forum.
Yeah.
We have kept in contact over the last couple of years. I let him meet my kids and let him form a brotherly bond with them.
Right.
This
Okay.
all sounds great so far.
Yeah.
No? A wonderful little blended moment.
Yes. Yeah, well, let's read on.
Then he started calling me mum. It feels weird to me for him to call me that, and it feels disrespectful to his mum, who I think is amazing to be so forthcoming and supportive of him having a relationship with me and my family.
Right.
I really didn't want to hurt him, but I explained my feelings to him about a week ago and I haven't heard from him since. Whilst it's common for us to go for long periods of time without talking, I have a feeling that this particular bout of silence is due to him being upset and I'm feeling guilty about it. So am I the drama here for telling my biological son to stop calling me mum?
Oh, it's such a tricky situation. It's such a tricky situation, and I think this is why sometimes the complexities around adoption worry me me in terms of like thinking of our own possibilities with having kids. And
I actually think this is like a really wonderful example of how it could go. Yes, there's like this little boundary moment, like something for you to establish together. But this sounds so wonderful and so wholesome. I love the fact that seeing as you have capacity to allow him into your life, that's happened in a way that mum, as in adoptive mum, has also allowed.
yes,
And that the siblings are also sort of like forming some kind of bond. You know, like I know it's not what you'd expect from a traditional network, but the fact that it has happened and happened so healthily feels really good.
Oh yeah, I think everything to do with this situation is very sweet, aside from there's a thing to work through now of like the labels and how different people feel about the situation, because for OP, she gave up that child. That child is no longer her child, regardless of the biology, and that seems to be the way she sees it. And the adoptive parents are his only parents, right?
But still in a way where she'll say like, I let him meet my kids, not my other kids.
Yeah.
But then says, and let him form a brotherly bond. So she's seeing him as some form of family.
Yeah.
But not on the same level, which makes entire sense if that's how somebody wants to approach it.
It just feels like a complicated situation where he may have different expectations and emotions tied to it than OP does. And I think I could see it working for OP and child to refer to OP as mum while still calling his mum, if that makes sense, and it not necessarily upsetting her. Although I'm trying to think about how I would feel if we adopted a child, or
mum feels.
Yeah, if our child started calling another guy dad.
Biological.
Yeah, biological dad.
Biological
Yeah, the biological connection.
Sure.
If they were then called dad as well as me, how would I feel?
How would you feel?
It's hard to say. I'd like to say that I'd be able to sit here and feel secure in the fact that like there can be a recognition of like dad and then biological dad, and if the kid sees both as dad, then that's their vision and they're right.
Yeah.
But I think I'd be lying if I would say it wouldn't
There
hurt
wasn't
a
an
bit.
element of which is like perfectly human. I feel like I would feel the same way as you've just explained.
The other way to try and see it is, how would you feel if you had given a child up for adoption, was happy to be involved in their life and get to know them and let them get to know their kind of biological ties, but did not view yourself in any way as their parent, and they started referring to you as such? I can see why OP is like, this is not my role in your life.
I can totally see it from OP's point of view, and I think it's really sweet that OP's also thinking of adoptive mum.
Yes.
I wonder if Son has spoken to adoptive mum about this, if that's a conversation that they've had and how adoptive mum feels. I also wonder if there are other kids in adoptive mum's family. Like, does Son have any other siblings from his 18 years of growing up, and how does it work with them? I have many questions, but ultimately I think I have my badge.
I have my badge.
Yeah?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. No drama here. Oh,
Yeah.
yay! Look at us. I don't know why I didn't think we'd match up on
For
that
a second, I forgot about the no drama, and I was just going to say you're not the drama, but then I was like, neither is he,
Son's
because
not the drama either.
everybody is navigating what is a perfectly fine situation, but can be complicated and is kind of outside of like what we would describe as the quote unquote typical family setup.
I agree with you.
So would require different boundaries.
I also think people need to work at their own pace and their own time, and I think that if this is the first time that this has come up, it's totally fine for you to say that. It's totally fine for Son to feel some kind of way and even hurt by that. I think it makes sense to establish that connection and allow him that moment to be like, oh well, who are you to me then? Because it can be quite a honeymoon period, right, of being like, wow, I found you, I'm trying to put myself in that position. There are so many outcomes that could have happened. It could have gone drastically wrong. It could have been an absolutely no contact, like no response kind of situation, but no, there is now like a positive momentum and communications building, and it makes sense that maybe you'd like allow your heart to leap into that a little bit more. So of course that's going to take time to establish those boundaries, and it's only been a week. Maybe some advice that I give to OP here as well would be to say, maybe reach out and be like, hey, I'm sorry if you're feeling some kind of way. Do you want to talk it through with adoptive mum too? You know, like, so you all have like a healthy conversation about where you're coming from, and it's not to hurt you, but to just realize where you all sit in each other's pages. Does that make sense?
It's difficult because the Son in this situation, him calling OP mum, could completely not impact the fact that he also views his mum as his mum. But OP is not his mum, and I can see on both sides of the coin why he would want to use that term for her whilst not feeling like it disrespected his mum who adopted him. It's because I don't want to call her adoptive mum, because she is just mum.
Yes,
but it does get complicated when we're discussing about this, and it's not like a lesbian couple mum situation.
Well, even then there's like mum and mama, there's often a differentiation.
I think it's about everybody in the situation just learning where the roles roles are and what the relationship is.
And as bizarrely as it sounds, not taking it personally, because I don't think that OP here means it in any kind of personal way. It's just a boundary setting of, look, this is where I view myself in your life. And maybe he's also saying, dude, I'm just calling you mum. Like, it doesn't mean that I view you as replacing my existing mum that I've had for 18 years.
Yeah.
But those conversations do need to happen.
Yeah, I think this is just all like being open and communicating, and it will
Yay, healthy communication.
hopefully work its way out, but no drama. Oh, that's a nice one to start with.
Do you also find it funny, though, that we're referring to son as just son, and yet mum feels a bit tricky? Why is it that son is definitely son?
It's because he is a son in this situation, because we're also talking about the mum who adopted him. So he is a son.
Right, but it's because there's two mums.
Yeah, because
Sure.
like, yes, OP has children and is a mum, but is
In
not...
this situation is biological
She does not
son.
want to be referred to as his mum.
Yeah, I see that. Is there a term for, I guess, bio-mum? I think that's what I've seen when other people who are adopted have spoken about their own situations. They'll be like, oh, my bio-dad, my bio-mum.
Or just parent. But I think it's difficult because, like, well, for me, I would assign labels of mum, dad, parent to people who have actually done the parenting and the raising and the looking after of the child, not just the biological contribution. So I don't know what I would refer to her as.
It'd be really interesting if you are somebody who is involved in an adoptive situation. What is it that you call your biological participant to your DNA? I'd love to know the term.
Hello, biological participant to my DNA.
Not that I think that anything is wrong.
No.
It's just about what works for you at the end of the day.
Yeah, although OP has referred to him as her biological son.
Yeah, so I do think
Yeah.
bio-mum and bio-dad is what's like the normal terms. Like
Yeah.
the traditional terms to referring to
I hear
an
that.
adoptive parent. You just don't seem to like that.
Yeah, because I think that, like, I don't know, it's just what's the difference between biological mum and mum? Like, they both use the term mum. One is just specifying, because, like, I'm not super keen on the term adoptive mum either.
Sure.
I think you're either a mum or you're not.
Fair
and then
enough.
you can have biological ties or you cannot.
I can see how you're holding that term with a greater value and how that therefore takes on a different meaning.
Yeah.
I think what you're trying to say, which is an important point too, is that being a parent is something that you actively need to do.
Yes.
It's something that, it's a role that you take on. It's not just something, a privilege that you get just because you happen to have DNA that shares.
You have to put the work in.
Put the work in, parent, put the work in.
Should we see what the people had to say?
Let's do it. No drama here.
Okay. However, reach out to your son and ask if he is okay. Maybe clarify in writing that although you are his mother, you don't feel that you deserve the title of mother or mum, that you value your relationship. OP, you are the older person here. Step up and communicate.
Fair enough.
I hear that.
I
Yeah.
agree with all of this.
Yeah, it's really interesting though to be like, however, reach out to your son and ask if he is okay.
Biological son.
Yeah.
But then biological son is still son.
Yeah, I know.
I
But
feel
then-
like Jamie's head is like exploding a little bit in trying to understand why you sit with these terms.
Yeah, but I wonder, maybe I don't view child terms like son, daughter, child as being earned in the same way as parents because...
Which makes total sense.
Yeah, interesting. I'm learning about myself
So
today.
interesting. You are the drama.
Oh.
I feel you, I really do, but imagine hearing that from the same mum that put you up for adoption. Adoptive kids already have to work through identity issues and wondering why you gave them up, but then to meet and think things are great, but don't call me mum, heartbreaking.
But she's not his mum. That's what I don't get. I understand the identity stresses that like adopted kids can have. Like somebody incredibly close in my family is adopted, and I've spoken in detail with them about that process. And I think that's probably also
Where it comes from, like your
that's also
aversion to
feeding
the
into
terms.
my
for sure.
feelings on this
I see
because
it.
they only view their parents who adopted them as their mum and dad. That's their only parents to them.
Yes.
They would never, even if they ever had contact with the people who are biologically related to them, they'd never be mum and dad to them.
Yeah.
So I think
And it's fine if other people don't think of it the same way. I can see why other people
Yeah.
might be more hurt. I also think like it really depends on your outlook and approach, but also the genuine circumstances of why you were given up in the first place.
yeah, I totally agree. But with this person, I think it's really harsh to call OP the drama because they made a decision to not be a mother to that child. And whether you agree with that or not, that was their choice that they made and they are not his mum.
I hear you.
And actually, I think it's more respectful to the parents who adopted him to step back and be like, I'm sorry, like, I want to have this relationship with you. I want to know you, but I'm not your mum.
I do totally agree with what you're saying, and I think what this comment, like the way it rubs me up the wrong way, is saying, but then to meet and think that things are great, but don't call me mum. There's more than one reason for meeting than to be a mother.
Yeah.
You could be meeting meeting just in this capacity, right? As the biological contributor, whatever term it is.
You could view yourself as like
a
older sister type role, or
just
an auntie
an extra
role,
person who happens to have contributed towards this person's life, and now you're meeting and seeing them for how it is.
Yeah, interesting.
I do understand though why the kid would get confused, specifically when you're then introducing them to the rest of your family and they're forming brotherly bonds. Definitely needs to be this discussion of boundaries put in place, because I can imagine how tricky that must be to be like, oh, here I am being introduced what I view as this new sense of family. I've got all these new siblings, and yet the person who's connecting us is not the same. I can see, again though, that's why I said, like, I can see why the kid is then swept up in this feeling of, mum. And why OP therefore feels a need to be like, look, let's not get it twisted here. You've got a mum, and I don't want to step on those toes. It's really about whether it's semantics or just a label to them, which for you it seems to be a lot more.
But I guess if there's a conversation and to son it's just a easy term label, he still views his mum as his only mum, but it's just easy for him to call this biological person in his life also his mum, then fine. But if it's because he's starting to genuinely like view her as his mum
in any way that kind of replaces the mum that he's had for 18 years, that's where it gets tricky, right?
It's tricky. Nobody can control it, but it that would be most heartbreaking for the mum who adopted him as well, though.
For everyone involved, though. Ooh, heavy. Oh, someone's actually responded to that comment and said, tell me you know nothing of adoption and the real world without telling me.
Okay. As an adopted kid, you are not the drama.
Oh, cute.
I met my bio mum when I was 22. Almost immediately, she asked me to start calling her mum and saying I love you. Ooh. She's not my mum. My mum raised me. My mum chose me. My mum loved me from the start. I fully understand your feelings, and people saying you're the drama and that it's a second rejection are idiots and never been in your position or his position. Let him know you care about him, but like you said, he has a mum. It's not that you didn't want him, it was what was best for both of you at the time.
I totally agree with this. This is very sweet, and at the end of the day, being spoken from somebody who is in that position, so who is anybody else to not listen. Obviously not all journeys are the same, not all viewpoints are the same, but this sounds incredibly rational to me. And regardless whether it's a badge of not the drama or no drama here, at the end of the day, I think what we're saying is OP is not the drama. So
for sure.
As in there is no drama on OP's part for OP to be accountable for. Also an adoptee, but I lean towards no drama here. The son isn't an arsehole for wanting to call OP mum, because technically she is, but it's also absolutely okay that OP isn't comfortable with someone she didn't raise and who has a mum already using that word.
I think that pretty much sums up our feelings on it. In one sentence. There we go.
Thank you for being so eloquent, person of the internet. Drama. Am I the drama for upsetting my daughter on her birthday?
I'm going to do a Nadia and be like, I'm going to judge you.
Just on the title
just
alone.
on the title alone.
You total.
Every time I watch any of your videos, I have like got a 99% success rate of being able to give the correct badge right after the title.
You total.
No, because sometimes they really get you in the first half, though, don't you? And you read the title and you're like, oh my god, you're awful. And then you read it and you're like, oh, right, context. Okay, that's very important.
Context is very important.
Yeah. All right, let's read this. I'm a mother to 2 kids, a 13-year-old girl called Rosalie and a 5-year-old boy called Jamie.
Oh, it's you!
Rosalie's birthday was yesterday and it was supposed to be a good time, but this happened and now things are tense with my family.
Okay, I have a problem and I just need to fix it because it's going to wiggle my brain in a weird way. Is it Rosalie? I thought it was Rosalie. You know, like Rosalind. You're like Rosalie. Is that actually how it's pronounced?
I assumed it was.
I thought it was Rosalie. It's like not the main point of this at all.
Rosalind sounds right. Rosalie sounds wrong.
Rosalie.
It sounds wrongly.
Because you don't say Rosie. It's Rosie. And it's Rose.
Rosalie.
But it's Rosalind.
But then you could be Ros or Lynn.
Okay, just continue with however you're saying it.
Rosalie had plans for her birthday. We were supposed to go to Santa Cruz, but my husband got laid off back in May and he has a new job, but he didn't feel comfortable taking any vacations since he's still new to his company.
Okay.
She accepted that and made new plans. She wanted to go shopping and then spend most of the day at home. I took her shopping and she got a few things. Thankfully, she doesn't have expensive tastes yet, and took her to a movie.
That sounds like a lovely birthday for a 13-year-old.
I'm struggling with the tone. I feel like you giggled, so I feel like you kind of assumed the tone of that was very much like, and thankfully she doesn't have expensive tastes yet, as like a joke.
Yeah.
But I think it's because I've already already judged based on like upsetting your kid on her birthday. I'm seeing this mum as being a bit like snarky. Like, thankfully she doesn't have expensive tastes.
I'm just trying to see it on face value. On face value, what I'm hearing is your kid's got a birthday, your husband's in a tricky position financially, or you're in a tricky position financially, and you can't do a big holiday, so instead you're doing one at home. Fine, it happens. Life happens. You've still spent time with your kid on her birthday. You're doing shopping, you're doing the movies, you're doing the quality time things. It's all a big tick tick tick.
Yeah, to be fair, this
So
sounds
far.
really similar to my 14th birthday.
I can't remember what I did for my 13th.
No,
I can
can't.
remember going to friends' 13th parties and they were horrible because everyone was like way too cool and I was like, oh my god, I hate this. Is this what teenage life is supposed to be?
I think I remember my 10th birthday or my 11th birthday, and I had like 3 friends over and we put chocolate biscuits on our foreheads and waited for them to melt. That's all I remember.
Like, to see which one melted
I
the
don't know if we were
fastest?
like trying to then work it from our forehead into our mouths without dropping it.
What, just like a giant brown smear down your face?
You know those brown ones with the little hole in the middle where they're chocolate coated? It was those. They're like chunky biscuits.
Dude, they're spenny biscuits as well. If I were your parents, I'd be so mad at you wasting them
We
on
ate
your
them.
face.
Just a little
Ew!
bit. Yeah.
I had in my mind like a bourbon with half of
I
it
don't know
off.
why we were doing that. It's like a core memory just from my 10th or 11th, maybe 11th.
Fun times.
Yeah.
Okay, we are digressing.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's look at Rosalie's birthday.
However, OP continues, I ended up changing a few things.
Oh.
When we bought Rosalie her cake, she wanted a cheesecake, but she's the only one who likes that in our house, so I made her pick one we could all enjoy and ended up settling for a chocolate cake with whipped frosting, which she ended up not eating because she didn't like it. I'm sorry.
Okay, the tone of this, very different. I'm now seeing the tone. OP's
It's
a bit of a
snarky,
ball.
right? For birthdays, I was brought up being like, doesn't matter if you don't like it, if it's the person's birthday and they want some like pecan and walnut and apricot dark chocolate bullshit, then that's what they can have. And if you don't like it, then you don't have the birthday cake.
Right?
Yeah.
It's odd to me that you're like, oh, she wants this, but I made her do that, and now she doesn't like it. Like, what is the need for the bunnies?
It's probably because OP's going to be like, oh, well, at the time that I forced her into getting this other cake, she said she liked it. And it's
I
like,
made her pick one we could all enjoy.
and what's the problem with getting a small cheesecake for Rosalie and then a cake for other people to eat if she's the only one that's going to have cheesecake?
Absolutely, it's her birthday, dude.
You can get cheesecake in individual slices.
But also, just get her a damn cheesecake.
Yeah, tell the rest of the family to suck it up. Jamie also got to blow out the candles first since he doesn't understand that Rosalie's birthday is her day and is too young to understand yet. No, he's 5. No.
Come on, at 5, you get it.
You get it. I'm sorry. He can at least know that you share, but that to me is like parenting 101 of teaching a kid like it's not all about you. I'd expect that from a 2-year-old.
Or if Jamie, because we understand how highly strung Jamie can be, if Jamie's really insisting on blowing out the candles, then maybe you're like, okay, Jamie, if you really want to do this, here is a candle for you. We'll do it separate. And then let Rosalie blow out her damn birthday cake.
I'd only do that if I wanted to avoid a tantrum on my other kid's birthday.
But come on, at 5 years old, like, you know at 5.
This age gap is really similar to me and my brother. I don't remember ever blowing his candles out on his cake for his birthday. I was taught to share. She was upset with this and said we made the blowing out candles about him. Because you did. I reminded her that he can't understand that they're meant for her yet, and she went quiet. That's your fault. That's not his fault. That's your fault.
And also, it may not have been about the blowing out of the candles.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
So,
To
like,
Rosalie, she's already now got a cake that she doesn't
think
want on a
about-
day and a plan that she didn't want.
Exactly.
And now someone else is blowing out her candles.
Yeah.
So she's
And Mum
only
just seems
13.
totally oblivious to this. My husband brought out one of those musical candles that plays a song when blown out, and when she tried blowing it out, it didn't work, which upset her even more.
I'm confused. What? So Jamie did blow it out?
I think Jamie blew it out, and then her dad brought out another
one,
candle.
and it was broken.
And it didn't work, which upset her, which I can get because look at the cumulative effect of this day.
Bless her.
The final straw was the fact that she didn't get any presents.
What?
Admittedly, we were so caught up in other things that we didn't buy her any gifts, but I thought what she bought in town would have compensated for it.
Are you dumb?
What? No, I'm sorry. I'm really thrown. I feel like this is a context where age can be mentioned because, like, as a 13-year-old, birthdays is still a really big deal. And I feel like if you're saying that a shopping trip is replacing presents, that needs to be set as a boundary. And it's like, yes, Rosalie, I will take you shopping, but just so you're... Don't laugh at my pronunciation of her name. Rosalie sounds wrong.
Carry on.
Rosalie, we can go shopping as your birthday present, but then you won't get any wrapped gifts. Is that okay? Or would you prefer wrapped gifts? And you can't be telling me that you took her out as a last minute plan to go shopping and
then
also you
also
got
just-
wrapped up and forgot to buy her gifts. No.
Bollocks.
You forgot to buy her gifts, didn't want to tell her you forgot to buy her gifts, so took her shopping instead, pretending that this was a nice day out for her birthday, when really that was covering up your mistake as a parent for forgetting to buy her presents, so you're taking her to buy her own gifts.
Bad mum move, dude. Bad parenting move.
Yeah.
I get it. Life is busy, but don't be like blaming your kid for being mad that there's no gifts.
On her birthday.
If I took you out for a meal and then at lunch you got a dessert and then didn't get your cake, but be like, oh, but we got dessert whilst we were out.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird.
It's a bit weird.
Like if we just went shopping for your birthday, which sometimes, you know, you can do. I sometimes like going to IKEA for a cute date night.
Yeah.
I was like, hey Jamie, I want to go to IKEA. And we bought like Tupperware and a spoon. I would then expect you to go, oh, I didn't get you gifts because you got a Tupperware and a spoon.
My 14th birthday, I said in advance for my birthday I'd like to go on a little shopping trip with mum. And so on the morning of my birthday I got a couple gifts that I'd asked for, but I was told there's only like one gift here in a card because we're going shopping later. Like, it was explained and they still went and bought me something as a gift.
Of course.
So it was like the parameters were set. I knew what to
You knew
expect.
that you were going before you were doing it. That was the birthday
It was actually explained before my birthday that if I wanted to go shopping, that would be a bulk of my gifts.
Yeah, that's cute.
And that's fine. But those expectations weren't given to Rosalie.
Very
and
odd.
you forgot.
Yeah, don't
Like,
use it
it's
as an
not
excuse.
that it was the shopping trip, it's because you forgot.
Bad mum,
Anyway.
mum. Let's continue. Or bad mum move, sorry, not
Yeah.
bad mum in total. That's
Bad
not what I
mum
meant.
mood. And the tone of this post, it just sounds like
I'm not wanting to touch accountability.
She's not being very nice. No. Her grandma sent her a present, but she accidentally sent her something meant for one of her cousins.
Oh
This
my
poor
God.
kid.
Poor Rosalie, poor child. Like, this is so sad.
Jeez. And I know, you know, like kind of tiny violin, small problems, but like this is gonna
As a
upset a
13-year-old,
kid.
like, of course.
With certain expectations, living a certain life,
Yeah.
She ended up getting upset over the lack of presents and it felt a little entitled.
If this was the chain of events that happened to me, I didn't get to choose my own cake. Someone else blew up my candles. I didn't get gifts because some bullshit excuse is being used for the fact that my parents forgot. And then the only gift that I did get was actually a mistake that I wasn't supposed to be sent.
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah, imagine if you were like, yeah, Jamie, I'd really like one of those like fruit pastries for my birthday cake this year because I just don't want cake, and I went out and bought you a massive cake. It's because it shows a lack of caring.
I used to have a huge phase of not liking cake.
Yeah, I remember. I was so sad.
For most of my life, I haven't liked cake. It was you. You're the bad influence. You got me onto cake. But beforehand, I would have a cookie.
Yeah.
And so my dad would buy me a Millie's cookie for my birthday, and we'd either share that or there'd be like little cupcakes for them to have as well.
That's really cute.
But like when other people's birthdays were there, I wasn't being like, oh, how dare you have a cake?
Yeah.
It has to be a cookie.
And at the same time, you wanted things like little like fruity pastries or cheesecake, neither of which I'm very keen on. Every year for your birthday, prior to then starting asking for cakes, I would get you something that you wanted. Yeah. It doesn't matter if I want it.
Silly Billy.
Ugh.
Silly Billy mummy.
Silly Billy mummy carries on. Eventually she got upset and yelled at us saying that her birthday sucked.
Well, nah. As a 13-year-old with hormones raging, I'm surprised this didn't happen sooner.
I reminded her about her shopping spree and movie, and she said that wasn't enough. We had a little back and forth, but now she's grounded and upset with me. My husband is on my side, but my mother, same grandma that sent her the cousin's present, is angry at me and called me an a-hole. She also wanted to send a new gift, but I told her no because of how Rosalie acted and said I would have it returned if she tried. However, I wonder now if I was the drama.
Yes, you are the drama.
You are the drama.
You are massively
oh
the
my God,
drama.
we don't
That
even
is
need
my
to talk
badge.
about it. You
I
are the
will
drama.
say, I do think that her saying, oh, it wasn't enough at the shopping spree in the movie does sound a little bit entitled.
Yeah.
But seeing as how like mum here in the reporting has been so cold and void of emotion towards her own kid, I wouldn't be surprised if actually what Rosalie was trying to say was, it's not about that. It's about the fact that I'm feeling neglected.
Yeah, it's like, first of all, the plans were changed and
Fine,
we
I
have to
understand
accept that. Different plans. Next of all, you wouldn't let me have the cake I
Next of
like.
all?
Next of all.
Next of all, who says
I'm in a
next of
serious
all?
flow. Next of all, you wouldn't let me have the cake I wanted, so you got something I didn't want to eat.
Third of all,
you let my brother blow out my candles, even though he's more than old enough to understand that he can't do that.
And final
Fourth
of all.
maybe not final. Fourth of all, you tried to cover up the fact that you couldn't be bothered. You forgot to go out and use your own brain and caring to pick gifts that you took me on some bullshit excuse of a shopping spree so that I had to pick my own gifts out. Shopping sprees are lovely and I'm not saying but it's not always about how much. You could take a kid out and buy them £500 worth of new things that they wanted and not set a parameter that you're not going to go out as their parent and pick them anything from you. And I think there is a difference. It just shows a lack of caring right from the gift to the cake to the dealing with your other child on her birthday.
1,000,000%.
So I don't think
it's got nothing to do with privilege or money.
Yeah, it doesn't come across.
It's about the time and the thought. And that's what I'm saying. I think that's what Rosalie's mostly being upset about.
Yeah.
And then imagine being grounded on your birthday.
Yeah.
Final of all.
Imagine your grandma. Final of all, then your grandma being told that she's not allowed to send you a gift.
I mean, I don't think Rosalie knows that, to be fair.
But that's very mean.
It is really sucky of mum. Mum, you are totally the drama. You need to have a wake-up call that you are being a badass parent and do better.
Realise it's not just about money and material items. It's also about showing your kid that you care about them and you've put thought into it and carved out time for them. That's what's missing here.
I'm trying to benefit of the doubt here. I wonder if things are just really hard for this family right now because it's unusual to not even remember to get gifts. A husband is clearly having something happen with the whole job thing. Jamie's acting out as a 5-year-old and is acting like a 2-year-old. Clearly mum is going through some stuff and maybe she needs to realise that
it's having an impact on her kid and they need to have a discussion.
And life is supposed to be fun and in moments like this you need to be there and celebrate your child. I get it, things can be tough, but there's a time and a place for everything, and right now is a time and a place to put all of that in a box and spend your time with your daughter.
Yeah, but I understand that sometimes things happen and there's big issues, but how long does it take to sit down and just pick a couple things for your kid and order them? You don't even need to go out if you don't have time for it. Just carve 15-20 minutes out. This is your kid, you're supposed to know them to at least some extent where you could find something that they might want.
Not even that, you literally went out shopping on the day. You could have gotten something on the day.
Yeah, and then just hidden it in a different bag and wrapped it up later.
But you are the drama. I'm failing to understand how you don't see her point of view here.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel
totally agree.
The mum's just gone, I took you shopping. Why is that not enough?
It's your birthday. You got a cake. I liked it.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
I didn't have to deal with a tantrum from the 5-year-old. Why are you upset?
Oh my god. You are the drama.
She's 13. You should have a cake plan by now. Oh, I love this.
No, legit though,
no,
right?
Yeah, my parents knew exactly what I would want. Yeah.
Okay, but you don't want the same cake every time.
No, I don't. But actually at that age I did. I wanted a very specific. It was a Victoria sponge with the fondant icing.
Oh, you are a big fondant icing fan.
But it had to be from M&S.
You bougie little bitch.
Because it was really moist. To on her birthday tell her she can pick her cake and then immediately veto seems to be the domino that started everything, and I can see why.
And it's even in the small words, I forced her to. I made her pick a different cake.
Yeah, it's so weird. And what she ended up with was so different to a cheesecake, being some chocolate thing with whipped cream.
I kind of want to try that though. You know how when Americans say frosted, is it frosted whipped icing?
I feel like it would be so sweet.
I haven't tried an American cake.
I find just buttercream frosting too much.
I like buttercream. See, I find fondant too much.
No.
I don't understand how Jamie will literally eat a whole slither's
No, I can't do that. It has to have cake now.
And then he'll have mine too, my fondant.
I don't do that anymore.
You used to be able to.
I used to be able to.
But when it comes to frosting, he's nah, too sweet. How?
I think it's too rich. It's the butter.
Yeah.
It's not just sweet.
Yes,
it's rich and sweet, whereas I find the fondant is just sweet. Remember, hard times are hard on everyone, and there's still milestone events that happen with kids. When they happen, it's over. On to the next. Oh, so she's only 13 once. Lastly, 5 is old enough to know when it's someone's birthday or is small enough for you to physically hold so the actual birthday girl can just blow their candles.
Also that.
Yes. She shouldn't yell. She should be more appreciative of the whole day, but she's a kid and you took her cake. I place her tantrum on you.
I also place her tantrum on you. And I will also say, I wonder if she has been more appreciative of the whole day. I would bet money on the fact that, based on how OP's been phrasing the rest of it, when she was I found it a bit entitled, saying that the shopping wasn't enough, I wonder if she wasn't actually listening to what Rosalie had to say.
Yeah, poor Rosalie.
And I'm so sorry if one of us is mispronouncing your name. You are a huge asshole.
Yes, agree. You are the drama. If your 5-year-old doesn't understand he can't blow out other people's birthday candles, then you are failing as a parent. My child is 5 and has never blown out other people's candles.
I agree. I know it's like a small thing, but again, it's the principle.
No, but it's a small thing now with birthday candles. But I feel like it's very much giving me the vibe that she is a boys will be boys mum. And she's like, oh, he's 12. Oh, he's too young to know that he shouldn't whack you around the face.
Do you know what this reminds me of? It's like if you're like, oh, but he just wants love, when your kid is like going into a full-on meltdown because another kid has attention.
Yeah.
It's that like not being able to realise that you're not the only person in the world, and sometimes you gotta share.
Yeah. And it does show, I think it shows a priority over children to me. I'm not saying the mum loves one of her kids more, but it feels like she prioritised not telling her son off over making her daughter unhappy. She would have rathered her daughter be unhappy about the candles than deal with her son having a tantrum.
I do hear what you're saying.
And I think that's really unfair.
If you grow up kids like this, believing that they should be able to blow out other people's birthday candles all the time, those are the kids that are gonna be the real villains when the zombie apocalypse comes. That's the real truth of it.
I'm really the person you're hurting at the end of the day is your kids.
Don't be one of those mums.
Please.
Oh, drama. Alright, Jamie, you ready? Our last Am I the Drama is from Connor, a fellow Peach.
Oh, hello. Thank you for sending in this submission. And remember, if you would like to send in your own Am I the Drama scenarios and situations for us to read on the pod, then you can do so over at our website on the 1-800-DRAMA-POD page. So Connor asks, am I the drama for not wanting to name my child after my stepfather?
Ooh.
I do have a gut response on this already as well.
No.
Yeah. Like, I don't see how you could ever be the drama for wanting to or not wanting to name your kid anything unless it was something that would get your kid bullied horrendously.
Yes, but also I think stepfather is the big operative word here. I think typically you see this tradition on father, but stepfather adds a really interesting dynamic that I've never thought of before.
Does add an interesting dynamic.
I'm so
even
intrigued.
If that were mother or father,
Yeah.
I would still be like...
For a step-parent.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Take it away, Shaaba.
Hello, says Connor. Hi, my love. My girlfriend, Katie, 20-year-old woman, and I, a 19-year-old man, are expecting a child. Congratulations. For some background information, I am the third of 5 siblings, big family. However, none of my siblings have the same father that I do.
They are one of 5, but the other children have a different father or multiple different dads, but
I'm
none
assuming
have
it's
the
going to
same
be
as
multiple
Connor.
different dads. I think that's what confused me, because I was like, how are you the middle child whilst not sharing a dad? Because I'm one of 5, but I'm the oldest, which makes sense as to why the others all have the same dad and I don't.
Yes.
So if it's the same dad, maybe mum got with the dad, had 2 kids, broke up, had a kid with someone else, and came back and had another 2 kids. Or it's 2 separate. There are 3 dads in the
There are
clip.
3 dads.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know why. I just had to clarify that in my head. Thank
That's
you for
fine.
ironing out my head
Ironing
family wrinkles.
out.
Ironing out.
I hope you're not ironed out your head wrinkles. You don't want that smooth brain.
Smooth me.
Thoughts just slide right up.
My father was never in my life, says Connor. I met him once when I was 10 and again at 16, but neither of us ever pursued a relationship.
Okay.
I was around 7 when my mum married my stepfather, George, 45-year-old man, who's the father of my younger brothers, 11 and 9. Okay, so if you just read on, I wouldn't have had my head wrinkles.
Sure.
I understand now. He's always considered himself my father, but that has never been a mutual feeling, says Connor.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I dislike him, but I never felt respected by him. He's always treated me as if I'm much younger than I actually am, as though I'm the same age as my younger brothers, and whilst I have my bio father's surname, he tells people I have his name, and so my birthday Christmas cards are always posted to me using his surname, not my actual surname.
Oh.
That's interesting.
I don't like that.
Yes, me too. We have to take things on face value.
Yeah.
I so wish that some of these were just conversations, because I'd be like, Connor, my love, can I just confirm that this is absolute truth? He is saying that, and that's why the cards come that way? Or are just doing that stupid patriarchal thing where, you know, like even in our relationship, we have different surnames, but people are like,
But he said he tells people I have his name, and so.
Yeah, so
That's how
that
Connor's
is
written it.
absolutely what's
Yeah.
happening. I just want to confirm that that's not an assumption from Connor's part. And if it's not, that is a really crappy thing of George to
Okay,
do.
well, we have to assume it's not an
Absolutely.
assumption.
I do think, though, the like age thing as well. How old are you?
19.
And they're 11 and 9. That is a big ass age gap.
That is quite an age gap.
It might be that George isn't doing it intentionally to patronise you, and it's because, is he a first-time dad? Because if he's the biological father of your younger brothers, it could be that he's treating you as he's treating the others. I definitely know that in my family, when I was living with my sisters on my mum's side, my youngest sister, there's quite an age gap between me and her, she always felt was treated not as her age because we'd all been alive.
Like older.
Yeah, and sort of like interacting at X level. I definitely feel like sometimes she got a harder end of the stick where we'd be like, oh, come on, grow up. Like, not realising that there were age differences. I think that sometimes when you're in a family, it can be tricky.
Right.
So I wonder if maybe that's where George's mindset is coming from. Doesn't make it right, still his problem. But yeah, just a thought that I had.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah.
You're just like, nah, George is a dick.
No, I don't think there's enough information to constitute him a dick, but I think it's...
Jury's
I
out.
want to listen when somebody says they don't feel respected, because that's
Absolutely,
different to just being treated younger than you are. That's quite a weighted word to me.
Especially considering the fact that Connor's not only 19, but also going to be a dad.
Yes.
So I can see if you're in that position, getting ready for fatherhood, why being treated as an 11-year-old might be incredibly annoying.
Yes.
Should we continue?
Yes.
There is a tradition in George's family that the first child of every generation is named some variation of George.
Okay.
That's so odd. Of every generation.
That
Not
is
like of every
bizarre.
family.
Every generation.
You understand? Like, that's just...
Yeah.
That's that. I've never heard of that before. Like a generational rule.
So, hold on though. Does that mean that one of the brothers is called George? Or some variation of George? If OP has two younger brothers and every generation has a variation of George, does that mean the 11-year-old is called George?
Unless, because George is a stepfather, one of George's other nieces or
You're
nephews
assuming he had... Oh, right.
are called George, because it's a generational thing.
Oh, and maybe Connor is having the first child
yeah.
in this generation.
Interesting.
Okay.
I look, I disagree with these rules anyway.
Yeah.
But, you know, it would make more sense to me if you were like, oh yes, the firstborn of every family needs to be called George, but not of a generation. I do not know how long this has been going on for, but quite a while, says Connor. Because of this, since Kate and I announced the pregnancy, George and his brother have been trying to convince us to name the baby some variation of George.
Oh, God.
In one sense, this is feeling kind of sweet, because I know this isn't how I'm supposed to take it.
I know, but because stepfather, the baby's being viewed as part of his family.
Yeah, it's just really nice to see that it's integrated in that way. At the same time, I can see how this is very frustrating.
Yeah.
My mother has recently started joining in as she, quote, knows how much it means to him and his mother, and is saying that we could name the baby something else as a middle name and just call them by that. That is so frustrating.
It's really annoying because, like, clearly there's an understanding from the family that you do not want your baby to be called some variation of George.
But also, do you know how many times, though, we've seen people go, oh, just name them the middle name of something else and just go by that instead? That's clearly not going to make anyone happy.
Yeah.
Because that's the reason that they're wanting that name in the first place.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're going to do some arbitrary, stupid rule by, like, trying to utilise a loophole, just use the freaking name that you want in the first place.
Yeah, why can't George be the middle name?
Right? Ugh. Or just not be there because that's
Yeah.
not your choice. Ugh. Stay in your lane, non-parents. I said that this was unfair, as when my sister, a 22-year-old woman, had her child, there was none of this pressure about the name, but I was told that that was because George is not her father. Isn't yours either?
But George is as much her father as he is OP's.
I wonder if at the time...
She's only 3 years older. She was still 10.
And he's been in your life since you were 7.
Is this because sister, though? Because Connor is the only one out of the 5 that have this particular dad who's not present. So maybe older sister's dad is present in her life, so George never tried to step in as a father figure to her.
Oh, maybe. I said George was not my father either, and he got really pissed at me. I've been very firm since he started pressuring me that I will not be agreeing to this and will call our child whatever we decide. However, I recently came across an unexpected hurdle. Oh. So Katie, so that's Connor's partner,
Yes.
mother of baby, incoming
Yes.
baby, right?
Incoming.
Baby incoming! Has decided that she actually likes one of the feminine versions suggested, Georgia.
Oh.
I told her that I will not name our baby after George. Oh no, so now you and Katie are at odds.
Oh, no.
Katie doesn't think that that's a good enough reason to not use the name, since we won't really be naming the baby after George. It's just a name that she likes, but I know George will always think that we name the child after him, and I don't want to do that.
Oh.
This is so
It's
interesting.
an ego battle now.
Katie knows how much George and my mother have been pressuring me, and she says that she doesn't think we should just give in, but she's choosing this name because she likes it. I refuse to choose any variation of George, male or female, but Katie continues to say that it's an unfair reason not to choose the name if I don't actually dislike it for any other reason. So, hang on, that was my biggest question out of all of this. Connor, what do you think of the name Georgia? Do you like it? If George wasn't in the picture, if we, like, Thanos snapped George away and he was, like, not in existence and this rule didn't exist, would you call your baby Georgia? Because if so, it kind of sucks to me that you would be potentially getting rid of this name that you and your partner like because of George. That's having just as much of a negative impact on you as imposing this rule does. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, God.
Let's finish it, but I'm so intrigued. This was a M. Night Shyamalan plot twist I did not expect.
Yeah.
We're struggling to agree on a girl's name. We've already got a boy's one picked out. We decided to not know the gender. So am I the drama here, or am I justified in not wanting to use the name? Thanks. What do you think?
I am so torn on this one. I think this is... I don't know what to say about this one. I'm shooketh by the twisteth because, like, I was very firm on my decision
I know,
of not
based
the
just
drama
on the title, right?
up until Connor's partner liked the
Georgia.
girl's variation
And
of
it
George.
kind of sounds like you also like Georgia, because she's saying and the reason that I'm coming to that conclusion is because Katie says it's unfair to not choose the name if you don't like it for any other reason. So it really sounds like you do like the name Georgia. So I'm making the assumption that Connor does like the name Georgia,
Yeah.
but doesn't want a variation of George because of George.
This really strikes me as a situation of, like, don't cut your nose off to spite your face.
Yes.
If you like the name and George wants to go on thinking that you named your daughter some variation of his name, then let him, because you know the truth and that's all that matters, and you deserve to call your kid a name that you want to call your kid. And that's the whole point why this was a discussion in the first place, is because you didn't want to call the baby George. But now that you actually, well, at least your partner does, and let's assume for this argument that Connor likes the name Georgia as well, isn't that the whole purpose? For you to be able and to have the freedom to choose the name for your baby that you want to
both
choose.
like.
So why not? If George wants to then take that as a belief that you've named the baby after him,
Then George can get in the bin.
Then George
'cause,
can just, like...
whatever. You could choose a name like Pineapple, and George could go around and tell everyone, oh yes, I chose this name. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter what other people have to say.
Yeah.
I really think that you should be looking at this just insularly. If you and Katie like a name,
Yeah.
regardless of what George's influence is, go with the name that you would like.
Yeah.
But the trickiness comes in with what happens if you now don't like the name because of the George thing. What if Connor did like Georgia, but cannot like Georgia because of George?
but maybe that is a genuine reason to not like it, because I can think of names that objectively I like, but then when I know the connections those names have in my life, I
Yeah.
no longer like them.
Yeah.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
There are some names I can think of that if I didn't know certain people, I may have considered.
But
But
because
knowing
you do,
certain
you're like,
people, I can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that is a fair justification, personally, as long as it means you actually now don't like the name.
Yes.
If you do like the name still, but it is purely an ego thing of you not wanting George to feel like he's like one, then
Quote, unquote.
I think you should call your baby the name that you both like, regardless
I
of
totally
George's
agree
feelings.
with that. So step one, Connor, my
Yeah.
advice to you would be, babe, figure out if you actually like the name Georgia.
Yes.
Regardless of the connection to George, do you like the name Georgia?
Yeah.
And if this issue with George means that that is one of the reasons that you don't like the name, that's also a fine reason for not liking the name.
Yes.
But if you still like the name and you're just frustrated that George will mouth off,
Like, quote unquote, win.
with respect, George, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's your baby and you and Katie like it, and you got to do what's right for you.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, I completely agree.
But Katie also needs to understand and appreciate that if your dislike of the name is a genuine dislike of the name that may or may not be influenced by George's influence, then that's still not a good name to go for if you both don't agree.
Yes. And also remember, both in terms of like actual what's happening, you will not be naming your child after George.
Yep.
But also, the baby is not going to be called George because they're going to have the like feminine variation of George, which is not George. And I understand George, Georgia, things can still be pulled, but you are not calling your baby George. It's not like Katie's turned around and said, if we have a boy, I want to name him directly after George.
Yes, and they've already got a different name picked out for if the baby is a boy,
Yes.
which makes total sense, and I'm assuming that's got nothing to do with George.
Yeah.
But I do think that the rule is some variation of George.
Yes,
So I'm
I-
sure in other generations, George
Yeah.
would also be happy with Georgia.
I hear that,
Or Georgette.
but I think
Or Georgie.
for me,
Georgerina.
okay,
Let's
stop it now. For me, it makes it one step removed because it's not a direct. Normally, the tradition would be like, you know, fathers naming their firstborn sons with their name and then being like Albert Jr. That's not what's happening here. They're not going to be called George. It's going to be a variation on George that is for like a different gender of name category.
Hang on. So what's your badge? Do you have one in mind?
I think so, but I don't know if we're going to agree.
Oh no! Oh no! I've kind of got two. What's your badge?
Undeserved drama.
Undeserved drama!
Yeah, it's our new badge. It's a soft you are the drama, but you've been pulled into drama you didn't deserve to be pulled into and just circumstantially have become a bit drama. I'm not calling you the drama. It's just
Well, you are.
I am. Okay. I am.
You are
I
the
am
drama.
calling you the drama,
But it sucks
it's a
that you're in
very
that position.
gentle drama because you don't deserve to be in this situation, and other people. George is also drama. to
George
me.
is the biggest drama here, for sure.
George is the drama, you are also drama.
See, I was questioning between no drama here and you are the drama. But I think what you've just said there, like, I totally forgot that we can't say no drama here if there is a drama, and the drama absolutely is George. Yes. And I forgot that our undeserved drama badge exists, so I agree with you. That is a good badge. A tiny undeserved drama with condolences.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
And I think the reason why there is still a bit of a drama is because it is all on the caveat. If you genuinely don't like the name Georgia, and it's not just to do with like letting George feel like he's won, then I don't think you are the drama at all, and it's like not the drama. But because we don't have that information, and it kind of sounds like you maybe would consider Georgia if it weren't for George, that's what's making me go for undeserved drama, because you'd never deserve to have your baby naming process be made this stressful by somebody else. You deserve to pick the name that you both wanted for your child with no pressure and no feeling like, oh well, now this person's going to think that because I picked this name. You should have just been autonomously given that decision yourselves, and I'm really sorry that was taken away from you, and now it's caused tension between you as a couple. But at the end of the day, go for the name that you both like and forget George.
One final piece of advice that I give you, Connor, is to remember that you are the parent now, and you need to have that level of accountability and responsibility, because unfortunately in these situations George isn't going to go away. This name is not the only time that you're going to come at heads, right, with somebody who feels like they can overstep you as a parent, especially if he is already being condescending to you and you feel like you're not being respected by him. And whilst it shouldn't matter, the reality is ageism is a thing, and you as a 19-year-old parent is also going to be seen as getting even more patronizing treatment from George than you probably deserve. So it's not just a name, it's the principle, and it's something that I feel like you and Katie are going to come up against time and time again going forward. So be strong in your conviction, know where you stand, and make sure that you are always making the steps that are right for you and Katie and your baby first and foremost.
I agree.
Whoa, I kind of feel like this was like a really deep, complex episode.
I feel like it was more deep than spicy, but I also feel like we're just learning that people's lives are deep and spicy generally, so we've always got something to say after each episode.
Oh well, manifesting non-deep, non-spicy passages of life for you until the next time we see you, Peaches.
Absolutely. And if you did like this episode and watching on YouTube, then please do think about giving it a thumbs up and subscribing if you want to. You can also go join the conversation down in the comments. If you are listening over on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can give this podcast a little rating, which really does help us, and you can rate individual episodes as well.
Thank you so much for joining, my loves. Be kind.
Much love.
Have a great day.
Bye.